We can. Where do you want to go? Do you want to look at Rose and see if the menu has changed? Good morning.
Where can I not be seen on camera?
Say what?
I'm sorry, I thought I was not seen on camera.
Oh yeah, you're not seen. They can't see you.
Do you want water?
I'm okay right now. Good morning. Wedding dress shopping was really fun. We learned that Zoe is a shoe girl. Zoe is very, 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 very insistent on you having shoes when you try on a dress. Dress, no shoes, no good for Zoe. She took it really seriously. Very serious business for Zoe. I kept trying on dresses and I would come out and she would say, wow, so pretty. And I said, oh, thank you, Zoe. Do you like this one? And she said, yes, wear your shoes. And I said, oh, I haven't picked shoes yet. And she said, we need to pick shoes. And I was like, okay, well, how about the dress first? And she was like, where are your shoes? Like, how do you explain to a 3-year-old that you're definitely not wearing 6-inch high heels? Because she kept picking, I bought her a Barbie doll and it has an assortment of shoes. So this is your fault. You did this. My mother has caused it. No, Zoe is the quintessential little girl. She likes shoes, purses, the whole lot. Is it? What'd they do? Oh, well then let's just go over to Superfine. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Autumn's learned to sit up already. Oh my gosh, time flies. I am into socks on babies. I think all boomers are into socks on babies. It's like something in their brain cannot handle a baby with bare feet. It's very interesting to me. It's like a whole thing. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't really understand it. It's like like people, when we would walk around the park, people would stop Catherine and like inform her that her baby doesn't have socks on. And she was like, it's summer in Southern California. It's 85 degrees. I mean, like, her children were born in May and July respectively. As babies, they were not cold. Let me tell you, these were not cold children. You know what I mean? Like if you are in Orange County, California in the summer outside, your feet are not cold. It's not happening. So it's weird that they used to stop her and be like, can you put socks on your baby? And she was like, no, I don't think so. Thanks though. It was so weird. So weird. And it's not like their feet were touching the ground. They're in a stroller. So odd. I don't know. But anyway, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Boomers like socks on babies. Boomers like socks on babies. Yeah, I hate socks, but cold. Oh yeah. If it's cold where you are, that is totally different. But if you live in SoCal in the summer, your baby don't need socks unless it's like in a cold house with cold floor or something. And then like put them in a onesie, with feeties. We are packing and finishing the move today. I'm so over packing. I do not blame you. Packing and moving stinks butts. Really? Already, Jen? Good Lord. You keep losing socks. Yeah, baby socks are hard to keep track of. They're so tiny. Brandon lived in footed pajamas the first 7 months. Well, but you live in a cold area, though. That's the thing. You live in a totally different environment than we do. Totally different. Yeah, and he's a December baby. So, like, a December baby in New York, no, Jory, definitely not. Definitely not. We would never say such a thing. But yeah, they like, anyway. So we had a great time at wedding dress shopping, and Zoe loved it, and the attendants loved her. I thought so too, Jory. They thought she was so funny because she had such big opinions, but she was always kind about it. Like, there was one time when I came out in one of the dresses and she said, and she like stopped for a second, and then she said, I think I like the other one. And we all started laughing because, like, I mean, honestly, that's the kind of opinion that you want. Like, she wasn't going to be mean about it, but she was like, no, maybe not this one.
Too mean.
No, not too mean. She's a 3-year-old.
Too mean.
No. I found a maybe. I didn't buy anything. Yep, Ellie and Zoe are gonna love each other. They are. They're gonna love each other so much. They're gonna have a grand old time.
It's old flag. It's on.
You're a grand old dress. You're a high flying dress. You run just before the feet come out. Yeah. Luigi's mean to me and he's 3. Yeah, 3-year-olds are on the edge, man. That's the reality of it. Who all has or has had a 3-year-old? Or, like, Des and I are really close to their niece or nephew who is 3. Three is rough. Yeah, Mom had 3 of them. It's true. Mom, were we mean to you when we were 3? Ben David was definitely mean when he was 3.
Was he?
He was a mean toddler.
Really?
He was mean. I was a nice toddler, right? Catherine was a nice toddler, but Ben was a mean toddler, I think.
Mean toddler.
Yeah, he was a mean one.
Define me.
He would say, I hate you to everybody.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, that's why I said he was a mean toddler. That's exactly what I said. He was grumpy, yes. He was a curmudgeon even at the age of 3. Luigi threw a tantrum because we wouldn't let him take a piece of dry wood he insisted he needs. That's normal, though. Yeah, he was a curmudgeon. My brother was a curmudgeon-y 3-year-old. It's true. I was the only person that he liked. He would say, I hate you, everyone. And then he would look at me and he would say, So I got the maybe. I think Brandon's a meaner 4-year-old, but he was never mean, just an overwhelming world. Yeah, of course, yeah. He did. He hated being touched, and he hated weird things touching him, like foods, you know? Yes, Becca had 3 3-year-olds at the same time. Can you imagine that? Everyone who's ever been around a 3-year-old, put in your head the idea of 3 of them all at once. And you're not a teacher, and it's not at school. There's just 3 3-year-olds in your home. Terrifying. My son would randomly yell, you're hurting me in public. Oh my gosh, yes, Mom. Becca has triplets. She has 2 boys and a girl, triplets, and then she has an older son as well, Mom. Yeah, triplets. 3 babies at one time. If I had Luigi plus Luca, I think I wouldn't be right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty funny. My sister is very lucky because Zoe, although honest, is the absolute sweetest baby girl. And even though she's in that 3-year-old range and she has opinions, she is so kind. She's such a good little girl. And although Ethan is not that age yet, he's a good baby. So I'm sure he'll be fine. He's fast though. I gotta tell you guys, Ethan is fast. He's a fast little boy. I was watching them yesterday and he just crawls, like you'll turn your head and he is, boom! He's so fast with the crawlies. You just can't keep up with him. He's just gone. So I think by the time he's 3, we might not see him ever again. I mean, he's so fast. No, I mean, obviously he loves us and he'll come back, but he's a runner. I believe it, Des. I believe it. Okay. They will love each other, but Ellie can be mean, not usually to friends, supervision required. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they're going to be at Disneyland, so they'll probably be fine. Okay, so I had to leash Catherine. Yeah, I've told people about that, Mom, and like there's so many people that have issues with that, but now I think it's becoming more and more apparent why that was necessary. Like if you have a kid that's a runner and you have other children that you have to keep track of, I think putting one of those little leashy backpacks on them is totally warranted. I support you in that decision, Mom. I was there and I saw what Catherine would do. I support you. We would have lost her if you hadn't leashed her. Who knows where she'd be now? She could be living in Bolivia. I mean, like, nobody knows. I don't know why I picked Bolivia. But, you know, she was just gone. Exactly, Becca. Well, I think that's the thing. They can be necessary because, like, okay, Mom will tell you, like, Mom, did I ever try to run away from you or whatever? And I was her first child. I was my mom's first child, and I feel pretty confident in saying if we were out somewhere, I probably stood right next to her side unless she told me I didn't need to. You know what I mean? Like I was like the yes, what do you need? You know, little girl, like whatever kind of thing. And then Catherine came and she, other side of the store. Where is she? Who knows? You know? Right, exactly, Becca. I never did anything untoward. Thank you, Mom. Never did anything untoward. I don't think Catherine did. Well, Catherine did some funny things. You guys, my sister was the funniest kid. I mean, literally, like we have some home movies of Catherine that you would just cry laughing when you watch because I always say this, like I became, I mean, I guess somewhat of an entertainer for a living, and my brother is an entertainer for a living, but Catherine's the funniest of all of us, and everyone is missing out on Catherine having not gone into entertainment as a living. She was in it when she was younger, but she's the funniest of us all. Catherine's got, I mean, like, she'll say stuff and I just cry laughing. She cracks me up. Yeah, exactly, Becca, exactly. Catherine would say things like, I don't want any more dinner. And then her dad or mom would say, okay, all right. I mean, if you're not going to eat dinner, then you don't have to eat dinner. Like, sure, whatever. And let her not finish it because she complained that it was done. And then it would become time for dessert. And no, Catherine's the middle child, right? And then my brother and I would get dessert or like a popsicle. It was always a popsicle, right? I would have a popsicle. I finished my dinner, I had a popsicle. And David finished, he'd have a popsicle. And then Catherine would be like, where's my popsicle? And I remember her dad saying, well, but you said you were full, you know? And she said, oh no, don't worry. I saved a popsicle shape right here. You're like, what? It's amazing. The popsicle shape. That's exactly how dessert works. I saved a popsicle shape. Comedic timing on that kid. Good stuff. Saved a popsicle shape right here. It is funny, Mom. It is funny. You're right. Yes. Yeah. Have I told you guys I've told you guys about Catherine during etiquette class, right? This is one of my mom's favorite things. I don't know if I've told you guys. We had etiquette class in our house. And we're all sitting around a very large table, right? And there's a camera set up at one end. They're recording it so we can watch it back later and take more etiquette. Yeah, we have it on video because they had a camera set up. So this is a proven thing. Like, because they've recorded everything, I can say these stories with certainty. Not like, am I remembering it correctly? No, we have it on video. I'm definitely telling it correctly. So we're sitting along the table, and I'm sitting here, and Catherine's sitting here. And I can't remember where Ben David was sitting, but I know he was there. I think either in the high chair, like at the end of the table over here, and then Mom was here, and their dad was here, right? And then the teacher is over here. And then we're all sitting there, and she's teaching us how to eat soup, and you have to scoop it with your spoon in a certain way, and you go like this, and then you have your napkin, and you blot, 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 you know, around your mouth, and you do all these things, and we're learning how to, you know, you have to be very delicate, and you don't bite your bread. You have to rip a piece of your bread and put it on the thing, and then you take a little piece, and you know, the whole thing, right? Okay, so we're going through the whole thing. And at one point, Catherine is eating, and she's a little bit of a mess. I'm not gonna lie. This child was a little bit of a mess, and it's all everywhere, right? And she goes to wipe her mouth, but not blah, blah, blah. She takes her hand and she's like this, like she's gonna go like that to her face. Like, you know how you do when you're looking, whatever, like that to get it off your face. She's got her hand right here, and you see my mom clock it and look at her like this. And then like that. And Catherine notices that mom's looking at her, and she gets nervous, but like goes like this, and she's got it, and her hand is right here when she gets caught. So instead of wiping her mouth like she was going to, she goes, it's so funny. Crack every time. She's like, no, I definitely wasn't doing anything. I was just being cute. And the thing is, Catherine was the cutest little girl. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, she had the cutest little face. So doing all these funny things with that cute little face, hilarious, actually hysterical, like naturally funny. Oh, it cracks me up. Yes, and she licked the plate when the teacher wasn't looking. So funny. There's like a video of her in etiquette class. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's so funny. Meanwhile, baby Sasha's sitting there like this. Too funny. Okay, we'll read, but in case you all ever want more, there's plenty more stories and hilarious things. I have so many funny videos and stories from when my sister and brother and I were little. All right, bye, Mom. Enjoy patience or whatever you're doing today. Okay. All right. Chapter 10. After I tried to escape, I was on serious bans. No one was allowed to speak to me or look at me, and I was not allowed to speak to or look at anyone else. I lost my phone privileges, back in pinks. They took my shoes, obviously. Problem people had to sleep on the floor in the living room so a guard could watch us all night. The shower remarks were over the top filthy, and I got blown away every night during rap. Stupid, spoiled, you're not even trying to work the program. They're gonna send you to Ascent. You're gonna end up at Provo. The kids who stayed at the other CEDU sister facilities agreed that Ascent sucked. It was a military-style boot camp somewhere in Montana or Idaho or Montandaho, I don't know. Hardcore, middle-of-nowhere wilderness. You had to sleep in a tent and do hard labor. They said all the kids were criminals and psychopaths, and the staff people were even worse. The general take on Provo was a wide-eyed whisper. Bad things happen there. I sat through a few more raps with a frozen Stepford smile. I was dying a million times inside, but I wouldn't let myself fight back because I had to conserve my energy. I planned to run again using what I'd learned before. But before I had a chance to try, the transporters came for me. Same as the first time, two people, a man and a woman, came in the middle of the night, grabbed me, and gave me the whole easy way or hard way bit. The scene had already played itself out in my head 100 times. I slept in my clothes, thinking about how I would handle it. Easy, I smiled. I'm excited to go. I love the outdoors. They were a little thrown off, but not really fooled by this. When they put the cuffs on me, they probably saw that I was shaking. The wife was a chunky middle-aged woman, not very tall, blonde hair with gray roots. The husband had a huge belly. I felt certain that they'd never catch me if I could just make a break for it. They gave me actual clothes to travel in, jeans and a t-shirt from the bag Mom had packed. But I'd lost a lot of weight, so the jeans looked baggy and sad. On the way to the airport, I tried to chat them up and charm them, but Mr. and Mrs. Meathead sat in the front of the SUV staring straight ahead. They kept the cuffs on me while we flew to San Francisco, where I was supposed to change planes. But I was as sweet as could be the whole way. Gosh, I can't wait to go to my new school. Do you think it would be okay to take the cuffs off before we change planes? It's just so embarrassing walking through the airport like this. No, Mr. Meathead said flatly. The paperwork says you're a runner. But Mrs. Meathead sighed and gave him a look, so he took them off. At the gate inside SFO, I asked if she could please take me to the ladies' room, and she agreed. I went into a stall. She folded her arms, standing right outside. Don't try to lock it, she said. I smiled and shrugged. There wouldn't be much point. I pulled the door shut and sat on the toilet without taking my jeans down, waiting, taking one deep breath quietly after another, trying to think what I could do next. After a while, Mrs. Meathead pounded on the door and said, "Hurry up!" I braced my hands on the toilet, breathing, waiting until I saw her eye in the crack of the stall door. "What are you doing?" she said. Here's the thing about dancing in a really crowded club. There's so little room to do anything, you basically end up jumping up and down for hours, which gives you thigh muscles of a kangaroo. Without really thinking about it, I pulled my knees to my chest and kicked the door with both feet. She staggered back and fell to the tile floor, moaning in a sort of wet, blubbery sound. I just ran out the door and down the concourse. I heard her behind me, screaming for her husband, but I had a head start. By the time he started chasing me, I was already halfway down the concourse. I bounded onto an escalator before I realized that it was coming up and I needed to go down. Too late to change lanes. I leapt over the stairs, skipped like a stone, stumbled and found my feet and kept pounding towards the safe haven I could think of. The Hilton. Conrad Hilton was ahead of his time. In 1959, air travel was cutting edge, marketed with high fashion and art cross promotions. Salvador Dali and Andy Warhol did commercials for Braniff with stewardesses in Pucci uniforms. My great-grandfather turned travel upside down, building a luxury hotel right there at SFO. You could fly in, live your best life, and fly out again without ever leaving the airport. Papa was a young man at the time, but he loved that hotel because it was full of pilots, stewardesses, and jet-set people from all over the globe. The hotel lounge was a tiger-a-go-go, he told me. They had a team of dancing girls, tiger kittens. Buzz and Bucky did a song about it. It's a big hit. The song actually peaked at number 104 on the billboards, but it was a cinematic moment in my head. I see myself tearing down the concourse, Mr. Meathead chasing me into the rhythm of Buzz and Bucky's surf rock anthem, Tiger, Tiger, Tiger-a-go-go. The concierge looked up when I bolted past the front desk screaming, "My boyfriend is trying to kill me, get me in a taxi." A good concierge doesn't ask questions. He hustled me out to the curb into a waiting cab. The baffled driver started to ask, "Where? Just go, just go." He peeled out, "Tiger, Tiger, Tiger-a-go-go." As we sped away from the hotel, I peeked over the back seat and saw Mr. Meathead on the curb, looking like he was about to have a heart attack. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. I was giggling and crying, high on adrenaline, so happy to be free. "Take me to the downtown Hilton, please." That felt as close to home as I could get. When he pulled up to the front of the hotel, I said, "I'll be right back. I gotta run and get money from my boyfriend." "Yeah, right," he huffed. I went in and crossed the lobby at a quick trot, trying not to look like I was running away. Unicorn trot. I ducked around the corner and took off running out the back door and up the street. I ran, walked, ran again, holding my hand against the stitch in my side. After a while, I sat on a bench and I had no idea where I was going to go. No money, but I was free, fighting tears of joy. After a while, I went to a phone booth and toggled the switch under the receiver. When the operator came on, I gave her my parents' number. "Mom! Mom!" I was crying before she had a chance to accept the charges. This was only the second time I'd heard her voice since I'd been taken. "Paris, where are you? What have you done?" "Mom, please," I sobbed. "You have no idea what's happening here. I get beaten up. They're crazy. I don't want to go to this place. Please let me come home." As I pleaded for my life, I could tell that she didn't believe me. "Paris, calm down. It's all right. I'll never go out again. I won't lie. I won't go to clubs. I hate clubs. Mom, I just want to be home. I'll do good in school. I'll do anything you say. I'll be good, Mom. I swear I'll be good." "Paris, calm down. It's okay," Mom said. "Of course you can come home." "Thank you." I closed my eyes and slumped against the wall of the phone booth, desperately weary, desperately grateful. "Thank you, Mom. I'll be so good. I promise. Just stay on the phone with me. Stay right there." I was happy to do that. All I wanted was her soothing voice in my ear. "Everything's okay, Paris. Just stay with me while we figure this out." It's cute how I kept forgetting that my mom is way smarter than me. Apparently, after the first time I ran, my parents had wiretapped their phone, knowing that if I bolted again, I would eventually call and they would be able to trace it. I felt a firm hand on my shoulder and looked up to find a police officer standing there. "You need to come with me, miss." He took the phone from me and said, "Mrs. Hilton, this is Officer—" "Yes, I have her. Yes, ma'am. Will do." I expected him to put me in the back of a cop car, but there wasn't one. It was a bicycle cop. He put handcuffs on me, got on his bike, and had me run behind him the whole way to the police station, which was only a couple blocks, but come on. F you, bike cop. F you and your hideous shorts and your lame-ass gel seat that you rode in on. I waited on a bench at the police station until the meatheads came for me. They were seriously pissed. Mrs. Meathead was holding an ice pack to her face. The front of her shirt was spattered with blood, while Mr. Meathead was at the front desk talking to the police officer. She bent down and burbled through her swollen lips. "Man, you ain't in that restaurant. You're gonna be sorry you did that." When the officer came to reclaim his cuffs, I begged him, "Please don't let them take me."
They're trying to kidnap me. They're going to beat me. We're her legal guardians, the meathead said. He showed the officers some paperwork. As you could see, she's a violent offender. It took me a beat to understand what he meant, and that it was true. Mrs. Meathead really was hurt. I did that, and I did not feel bad about it. Seeing myself that way made me feel even further removed from my real life. The meatheads took me to the airport in cuffs, and I sat on the airplane, wedged between their sweaty bodies, feeling physically and emotionally crushed. When we arrived at Ascent, a burly woman in combat fatigue strip-searched and groped me in full view of the staff and the gawking students. There was a crew cut and camo white supremacist vibe to the place with slack guards, with a shack with guards and a common area with wooden benches, circle of teepees, and a mess tent with a log for a table. The only sanitation was a pair of porta potties. Instead of showers, you got a bucket of cold water with a cup and a bar of soap. Kids were required to wash while the staff watched. In the morning, you had 60 seconds to pull on socks and shoes and bundle your sleeping bag into a backpack. If one person messed up, everyone was punished. The first day, there was a hair on my backpack, so everyone's stuff got torn up, probably just to make sure everyone hated me. Breakfast was grainy cereal with milk that had obviously gone bad. I tried to drain off the sour milk, but the team leader said, "Eat or I'll shove it down your throat." Burley cuffed me on the back of the head. Keep an eye on this one. The program was similar to CEDU, except the girls were called otters and the boys were called tantankas? Boys and girls weren't allowed to look at each other. Another camp was being built nearby, so we spent our days hiking to and from that location, hauling logs, digging holes. Every night you washed your socks. If they didn't dry, you had to go without. It took me a few days to figure out a good method so the backs of my heels were raw with weeping blisters. Sometimes kids passed out and we had to carry them back to camp. Sometimes we never saw that person again. But a girl who came back after a brief trip to the hospital told me I was handcuffed the whole time. No one would even speak to me in the ER. Asking questions or voicing a complaint got you a slap across the face, and they made sure everyone saw it. Kids were punched, choked, and thrown to the ground, held face down in the dirt until a staff person's knee was on their neck. They kept us scared and hungry. If the milk was bad and you couldn't eat your cereal, you had to carry it with you all day until you ate it. Weeks went by, blurs of stiff, heartbroken misery. I was constantly scoping out the territory for any possible avenue of escape. I knew I would die. Are you running? Are you escaping? He can't hear me. He's just motioning things.
What?
I was saying, are you running? Are you escaping? He can't
Yes.
hear me. That's what I was telling them. I knew I would die if I stayed there, but I traveled through the wilderness on my own. But traveling through the wilderness on my own, that didn't seem possible. Hey, John. Most of the other students scared me, but my tent mate seemed cool and was obviously as miserable as I was, so we bonded over that. One night I said, I don't want to leave you by yourself, but I do have to get out of here. She agreed, and we made a plan. Before we went to sleep, she went out to use the porta potty, and a few minutes later, Burley called, Hilton, get out here. I went out, and she said, what's going on? What are you two whispering about? Nothing, I said. No, she barked. You tell the truth. Nothing's going on. We're just... Burley yanked me into a firelight and made me sit on a log while she berated me. This was the thing at Ascent. You had to sit on the log for an hour after hour while people took turns yelling at you, poking you, smacking you in the back of your head until you confessed to something. Usually, I made something up that wasn't very bad. I dumped my cereal in the bushes, or whatever. That wasn't going to cut it this time. Burley kept me on the log all night. I was shivering, cold, and exhausted from a long day of manual labor, but I sat there and said nothing because I didn't want to get my tent mate in trouble. It didn't sink in until morning that my tent mate had ratted me out. You can't trust anyone. You can't trust anyone. When people woke up and found us sitting there in the standoff, Burley lost it. She had to show them that she could break me. Everyone crouched at the opening of their tent, watching with huge scared eyes as she slapped me, yelling with her hot breath on my face. You effing run. You say one word about running. Try to be a bad influence on the other kid, and I will make your life hell. You understand? You're never going to leave here. I will bury you here, and no one will give an F. Your parents hate you. Get it through your stupid little bimbo head. You belong to me. Wow. I can't even try to be funny about this or pretend I was a tough cookie. That chick scared the living shit out of me. I cried and I begged her to stop every day. I did what she told me to. I worked my ass off. I ate whatever crap they put in front of me, and I never said another word about running away. I played a familiar character, the stupid rich girl, the blonde bimbo they expected me to be. I pretended to be all excited if I saw an elk and never said another word to anyone except when I was forced to participate in their insane rituals. Years later, when I finally found the courage to Google it, I was glad to see that this place had been shut down. Kids had passed away there, and the lawsuits finally got to be too much. But other places just like it sprang up. It's infuriating how widespread this type of thing is, and a lot of people have known about it for a long time. In October 2007, Gregory D. Cutts, Managing Director of Forensic Audits and Special Investigations for the U.S. Government Accountability Office, and Andy O'Connell, Assistant Director, testified before the House Committee on Education and Labor, presenting a report, Residential Treatment Programs Concerning Concerns Regarding Youth Abuse and Death in Certain Programs for Troubled Youth, under the heading, What GAO Found. They had this. GAO found thousands of allegations of abuse, some which involved death, at a residential treatment programs across the country in American-owned and American-operated facilities abroad between 1990 and 2007. GAO could not identify a more concrete number of allegations because it could not locate a single website, federal agency, or other entity that collects comprehensive nationwide data. Burley wasn't lying. She really could have buried me there, and no one in any official capacity would have known or cared. The report goes on to cite one agonized example after another. May 1990, female, 15, died while hiking after reporting symptoms of dehydration for 2 days, left on a dirt road for 18 hours. September 2000, male, 15, held face down in the dirt for 45 minutes, died of severed artery in the neck. February 2001, male, 14, attempted to end himself by severing an artery with a camp-issued pocket knife. Pocket knife was not taken away. Ended himself by hanging in a tent instead. July 2002, male, 14, died of heat stroke exertion while hiking. Claimed he was faking it. November 2004, male, 15, forced to wear a 20-pound sandbag around his neck as punishment for being too weak. Collapsed. Autopsy revealed bruises over entire body. The list goes on like a beatbox loop that doesn't even address the thousands of kids who suffered these horrific conditions and survived. I've testified before House committees, so I know what it's like presenting information in this cold conference hall facing a sea of men in dark suits. Most of them are there because they sincerely want to make a difference, but after a while they look numb. It's impossible for them to see the statistics as children, but it's impossible for me to see these children as statistics. I see that kid. I know that kid. I am that kid. After a couple of months at Ascent, I was stoic and lean as the blade of an axe. The skin-crawling reality of the observed bucket shower had become normalized. I learned how to take a slap, go with the momentum instead of trying to duck. I no longer felt the sting that they talked to my parents when they talked to me about my parents hating me or told me I'd be on crack or die in a gutter and had no future. What did that even mean? The only future I could think about was surviving another day on that mountain, haul another log, dig another hole, shiver uncontrollably through another night. One day they told us it was time to go on this thing called track, or maybe trek, that involved hiking over some mountains in Montana. They gave us some perfunctory survival training on how to pack our 80-pound backpacks, pitch a tent in the snow, build a fire, find water, like Naked and Afraid type stuff, which would be even harder. It would be hard even if you wanted to do it, but none of us did. Burley kept saying how life-changing and awesome track/trek was. I pretended to be excited about it, but inside I was like, nope. I'd been watching the way that the moon came and went. Sometimes it was pitch black at night, and other times the moon was so bright that you could see your shadow all the way to the porta potty. Sometimes in the morning, the fog rose from the ravine so thick that you couldn't see a tree 10 feet away. I'd been weighing the advantages and disadvantages and the opportunity to hide versus the ability to cover the greatest distance as fast as possible. The counselors warned us about wild animals, bears, mountain lions, but those scared me less than these twisted people. I tried to find the courage to go alone, but at the last minute I caved. It takes more courage to trust someone. There was a young girl who had arrived recently and was having a bad time, mouthing off, getting slapped around a lot. Let's just call her Tess. One night I whispered to her, "Let's get out of here. I'll tell you when." Tess nodded, scared but resolute. At 2 a.m, we took off through the trees, down the mountain dirt road. She struggled to keep up, but I badgered her like a football coach. "Keep going. You can do this. You can't slow down." After a while, we came to a small group of old mobile homes scattered in a cluttered field of junk cars and rusted machinery. We crept through the clutter, peeking inside windows, and inside one of the trailers, a woman sat by herself, reading a thick book in the lamplight. She had long, thick braided hair over her shoulder, and jet black and steel gray dog curled up at her feet. A dog person. I thought, maybe we could trust her. Hey, Grace, how you feeling? When I knocked on the door, she opened it, not looking particularly surprised or curious. I babbled some made-up story in my baby girl voice. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to bother you. Me and my friend were camping with some boys, and they're really drunk, and they tried to hurt us, and we don't have anywhere to go, and on and on and on. I don't know if she believed us or not. She didn't ask questions. So either she accepted the story on face value, or she knew there was something too terrible to tell. You must be freezing, she said. Come in, come in. She brought us inside, wrapped us in blankets, gave us water, grilled cheese sandwiches, and hot chocolate. She let us use her wonderful little bathroom with a real toilet and sink. When I stepped out of the private heaven of a hot shower, I found that she'd left clean clothes for me on the bed. On the bathroom countertop, there was a little plastic basket with an assortment of moisturizers and makeup. I dabbed lip balm on my cracked lips and touched my lashes with black mascara. Looking in the mirror for the first time in several months, I hardly recognized my own face. Hardness, sadness. You can see it if you compare photographs of me before and after this all happened. When Tess came out of the shower, the sun was coming up. They'll know we're gone, I whispered to her. We need to leave. The lady let me use her phone to make a few long-distance calls to my friends in LA. One of my guy friends bought us train tickets, and our fairy godmother gave us a ride to the train station. Good luck, she said, giving me a hug, and drove away. I still can't understand why she did all this for us, but I'm eternally grateful. It's so rare to see someone just help without judgment. We tend to second guess people when they're down. What did that girl do to make her boyfriend hurt her? Why doesn't that junkie get a job? Maybe that's how we reassure ourselves that we'll never be in that situation. Looking back, I see this woman acting on pure instinct, no hesitation, just pure human kindness. Words cannot express how much it meant to me. When I lose faith in people, when love feels impossible and it seems like anyone who isn't paid is going to abandon me, I think about that lady and I know that there's goodness in the world. Tess and I stayed low waiting for our train. This wasn't a busy station like London or Paris where you can blend in with the crowd. This was a tiny little depot next to a bunch of hay bales, maybe half a dozen people around. The ticket agent kept glancing our way. Finally our train came and we hurried to get on, but two crew-cut ascents goons blocked us on the platform. So forget about goodness in the world. The world effing sucks. I gripped Tess's hand and we were both trembling. Back at the camp, they made everyone sit on logs, strip search, cavity examination. One of the guys who always watched me during soap bucket said, now you're going to see what happens when you run away. The creepy way he was smiling, I thought he was going to hurt me right in front of everybody. Thank God he just beat us instead. Yeesh. Awful. Awful. Yeah. Truly terrible. And just heartbreaking stuff. Ugh. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Oh, goodness gracious me, am I? All right, friends. Well, it's a rough one, but it's you know, it does get worse and worse, but I'm so glad that she had the strength to put it out there so that, you know, she can do the good work and that, you know, it doesn't happen to more and more people, you know, because no one's believing the regular kids that come out of there, so it takes someone. Something happens. We don't know what though, Amanda. I don't know if she eventually ran away or if she just finished the 2 years or what. I don't know. I really don't know. Because once she's 18, they can't keep her, you know? So if she runs away at that point, you know, I actually don't know the answer. I don't know what happened. You think she finishes the 2 years? Yeah, I don't actually know. So we'll find out, I guess. All right. We are, though I do have to say, we are about halfway done with it, which means we do need to pick another book soon. She was there less than a year. Wow, all of this in less than a year. Good Lord. Oh. Okay, I don't know. So we do need to pick another book soon, so we should think about that. I heard about a cool book on Book Talk that I need to get the synopsis to read you guys something of that sounds pretty cool. Or yeah, something light for sure. We could read the other Chris Coffer series. Like we could start the next one of those. Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a don't judge a book by its cover. That is for sure. That is for sure. Shortly before she turned 18. Yikes. All right. Well, that's rough if you ask me. That is rough. Life is good for me, not for Paris and this. I'm loving these bios. Not in a million years would I have thought this was in her background. Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about reading memoirs. I do. I told you guys before. I do a lot of memoirs personally because, yeah, you never know. You really never know. So that is something. But we will pick another book soon. If anyone has any suggestions for something lighthearted, we will take it. I gotta go do some writing. I got the pearls in to make the Ariel slime today. More slimes will get packed up and mailed out. Can't wait for your memoir. Mine will be not this intense. That is for darn sure. That is for darn sure. When I needed a place to go anytime, my mom let me go to my aunt's house. So I had plenty of loving people, thankfully. I was very grateful for that. But I also was a pretty well-behaved kid. So did my slime go out? You know what, Mary? The only way to know that would be to check your tracking. There's too many for me to know off the top of my head. It took me a second to read your shirt, but it made me laugh when I got it. Yeah. So you will get a tracking number as soon as it goes out, but as is noted on all the pages, unless it was Ember and Wade, it was pre-order. So if it's Ember and Wade, it probably did go out. I think all the Ember and Wade solo orders have gone out, but you always get a tracking number if your order has gone out. You should watch the doc on YouTube. I want to. While I make slime, I usually listen to things like that. So I'm going to listen to / watch the program. And then what was the other one? There's another one besides the program. If someone wants to put the names of the documentaries in the that people think we should watch in the book club chat, anyone who's interested can watch them. Hell Camp, that's the other one. Anyone who's interested can watch them, of course, and we can talk about those too. It's important to give eyeballs to these things. You know, it doesn't sound like reading or can customs be video? Always. Absolutely. Yeah. Message me, Grace. Always. Customs have been videos tons of times. Oh, the Paris documentary on YouTube. I didn't even know there was one. Is it Paris in Love? Is that the one while she was getting married? That one? I just finished Quiet on the Set. I listened to that while I was making slime, and that's a hard one. It's a hard one. Not good, not good. Not good. All right, I'm gonna hit the road. It's from 2020. It's about, oh, really? Okay. It was rough and sad, Naisa. It was. It led to the book. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so if anyone has any suggestions for our next book, hey, Valerie, go ahead and make those suggestions. Something a little more lighthearted, fluffy, that I don't blame you, Raven. I don't blame you at all. Don't blame me at all. I always do that. I always go down a rabbit hole. So yes, maybe I'll just go to the store and pick something light and fluffy off the shelf, and that'll be our next read. I don't know. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Maybe I'll be on to make slime later. I'm not 100% sure. We'll report back.